Right, guys, still doing a great job in this Champions League group. We've got 2 away trips coming up. I'm pretty sure we're already through, even though there's no Q next to our name, because one of Real Sociedad or Leicester aren't going to win both of their games. So I think we're as good as through, but just make sure you win this game against Ross County, even though I still don't have a scout report for them, Mohammed. Unbelievable. And then we can just do whatever we like against Leicester. There should be no pressure on us with our goal differential, okay? Let's go, boys. I'm aiming for top of this group. Let's do it. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 126 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does Here for you, mate. Hope you are doing well. And coming up in today's episode, we finished the group stage of the Champions League with away trips to Ross County and then Leicester City. So if you are looking forward to this episode, we hopefully will also have a knockout draw for the first round of the Champions League as well. And do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But this is what the group does look like off the back of our episode at the end of last week. A very, very nice win in that one against Real Sociedad, as well as the end of season review. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner. But as you can see, we are on 10 points, 3 points clear of Leicester City, 5 points clear of Real Sociedad, and about to take on Ross County in the first game of today's episode. But with Real Sociedad taking on Leicester City, I think that more or less means, even though there's no official Q next to our name, that we've more or less qualified out of this group, because I don't think there's a way that both of those teams can go above us with our records against them. Real Sociedad, a draw and a win, in Leicester City, we absolutely battered in the first meeting against those guys earlier in the group stage in Iceland. So I think we're in a position here where we should already be getting out of the group, but we'll absolutely make sure of it if we can win this first game here against Ross County, and we absolutely should be doing that, despite the fact it is away from home. They have picked up no points so far in this group, have been getting fairly well beaten by most teams. 5-0 by Leicester City last time out. Before that, they did push Leicester City close in their home game, but before that they also lost fairly heavily to Real Sociedad away from home, and we bet them on the opening match week 3-1. They gave us a little bit of a scare in that first half, but we did come right towards the latter stages of that game. So this should be a game that we are winning, and hopefully if we can do that, we'll guarantee ourselves some Champions League knockout football for tomorrow's episode. In terms of our team going into this matchup here against Ross County, we are back at full strength. Tiago Polo is back from his suspension, and Kenny Boreal is back from that little niggly injury that he did have. But we are going to keep Gaetano de Prisco in there alongside Ali Ramadan. I just think his form last season was a little bit better than Tiago Polo's in terms of last season when we saw the end of season review. So I think we're going to stick with de Prisco alongside Ramadan, because they do look like the form centre-back partnership here at the club for the moment. So we'll keep that centre-back partnership, but Kenny Boreal is back at left back, so it is pretty much our first choice 11 that we are putting out for this game, and hopefully also for the second one against Leicester, as long as no players pick up yellow cards and whatnot, so we don't have to worry about that going into the knockouts. But hopefully a win here, as I said, will absolutely make sure we have knockout football in the Champions League come tomorrow's episode, and we'll come back shortly from Mukti Ahmed Park to take on Ross County. And 5 minutes into this game, we do have the first highlight. It is a throw-in here for Ross County right around the halfway line. They are in the very traditional Scottish colours there of the dark purple. We are in our green, and Mackay gets slotted through early. Thankfully, he puts that wide. A little bit of an early scare there, but it does remain 0-0 after 6 minutes. And 15 minutes later, we are down the other end now. We have a free kick right on the edge of the box here for Nicholas Zimmerman, as he does take quite a bit of time over it. It is fair to say, not quite sure exactly what the hold-up is here, because the referee is just standing there waiting for him to take it, but he absolutely rockets that into the top left corner, and after a long wait for that free kick to be taken, it was worth it. We go 1-0 up here at the 20-minute mark. Thankfully so too, because so far hasn't been that great of a performance, but after 21 minutes, it's 1-0 Volsungur. And not too long off the back of that opening goal, we are back inside the final third of Ross County here with a free kick. Rakasan's going to put this far post in. Frederick Larson gets his head on the end of this, and after a pretty scratchy start from us here in terms of stats and a lack of highlights, I think it is going to be 2-0, and indeed that is the case. The goal has been awarded after a VAR check. Frederick Larson pretty much unmarked there at the far post, gets that past the Ross County goalkeeper. 2-0 Volsungur about halfway through the first half. And a few minutes shy of half time, we do have our next highlight. It starts with a goal kick here to Ross County, and they do keep possession from it. Higgins on the ball, big switch out there to Rostock. You might notice Frederick Larson down to a very low red hard as Matthias Aguirre gets beyond the defence. We have some good work with his head. He is one-on-one with the goalkeeper and buries that in right before half-time. Matthias Aguirre with some very, very good individual work there makes it 3-0, and surely that is going to be enough of a buffer to make sure we are going to be making our way through to the knockouts of the Champions League, even though it was more or less decided anyway, with the other two teams taking each other on in this group in Real Sociedad and Leicester. And Leicester do have a 1-0 lead just shy of half-time, but we'll just keep an eye out here on Frederick Larson, still on that very faint red heart, so we might have to take him off here at half-time. But after a bit of a scratchy start in the opening 20 minutes, we really did kick into gear right around the halfway mark of that first half, grabbing 3 goals, capped off with that one there to Matthias Aguirre, and we take a very nice 3-0 lead into the second half. And as I said, that should be enough of a lead here to make sure we do pick up all 3 points. Frederick Larson on that red heart, so we'll take no risks here considering the situation we are in this group. Chaka Traore will come on for him to start the second half as we're 3-0 up here and hopefully guarantee us some knockout football now. And not quite 10 minutes into the second half, we have our first highlight of it. It's a free kick here for Ross County. Mackay gets his head on the end of that, and even then it does come off the upright. Lee Van Tam for a late block there from a shot from a tight angle, so a good chance there for Ross County to grab a goal back, but it does remain 3-0 Volsungur. And up to the 65-minute mark, we've got 2 players now down to red hearts. We will take them off the scoreline, still sitting there at 3-0. We should be able to see this out without 2 of our best players there in the midfield. Basaro Gay and Lasana Dumbia both down to a red heart. We'll just see what players can actually play in the DM role, and it does look like Ali Ramadan might be that option, so he can go forward to the DM. Elias Anderson will come on for Basaro Gay, and also Giroud for Dumbia for these last 25 minutes, as we do have a 3-0 lead. And we do have a highlight just before we can make these substitutions, our last ones of this game. But as I said, we should now be in a position where we're guaranteed knockout football, and also with our goal differential and records over the other teams in this group as well, we should also really be in a position where we can top this group. There's a chance there for one of our players, but Greg makes a pretty safe save, still 3-0 with about 20 minutes left. And with 5 minutes left in this game, we do have a corner here. Rakasan puts this near post, and Ali Ramadan just puts that wide. Leicester City do lead Real Sociedad 2-0 in Spain, so it does look like it's us and Leicester who are going to be making our way out of the groups. That could be a big game coming up off the back of this one to absolutely make sure who does finish top of this group. But I'd like to think with our goal differential, we might be in a very, very strong position. But a good solid win there away from home. Not our most vintage performance by any means, but we do pick up a nice solid 3-0 win. And as I said, that will absolutely guarantee we do have some knockout football in the Champions League with a game to spare. And that is nice indeed, because that last game is away at the King Power Stadium, as we do take on the reigning Europa League champions in Leicester City. We'll just get through this post-match interview asking about that good goal there to Matthias Aguirre. And as you can see there on screen, with the loss there by Real Sociedad, we are now 8 points clear of them with 1 game left in the group stages. Us and Leicester are going through to the knockouts of the Champions League. We'll come back shortly and just make sure we know the exact situation before we get into that game to see what we need to do to hold on to top spot. And we are back right before the second game of today's episode here against Leicester City, and this is what the group does look like going into this game. As you can see on screen, both us and Leicester City do have that nice Q for qualified next to our names, but you can see there, thanks to goal differential, we have a massive one. It would take a very, very heavy defeat here for Leicester City to go above us, and that is also because, of course, we did defeat them 5-1 back on the second match week of this Champions League group. So that does mean that even if they did beat us, there would be no difference in the head-to-head. So as long as we avoid a heavy defeat here, we should be topping this group with that nice goal differential advantage that we do have here over Leicester City. We unfortunately, though, do have a few injuries going into this game. We are just going to rest a few players as well who are sitting on yellow cards to make sure that they are going to be available for the first knockout round of the Champions League in tomorrow's episode. Both of our injuries are to bench players, so that is somewhat of a relief. Chaka Traore out for 4 weeks with a double hernia, and Karel Giroud a pulled hamstring. He is out for 5 to 11 days, so neither of those players are on our bench for this upcoming game against Leicester City. And also, there was Andy Harwood on the bench. He had a yellow card that he was sitting on, so he's also not going to be sitting on the bench for us for this game. So in terms of our starting 11, it is exactly the same as we did put out in that previous game against Ross County, but our bench does look a little bit different down there with Chatzakis coming on for Andy Harwood. We've got Porstein Anason and Patrick Nygaard also in there for Giroud and for Chaka Traore, but it's still a pretty strong team. This will be an interesting test here away at Leicester City. As I said, as long as we can avoid a heavy defeat, we should be sitting on top of our group, and that will hopefully give us an easier path in the first knockout round of the Champions League draw, which we will show you guys off the back of this game, but we'll come back shortly and see what we can do at the King Power, taking on Leicester City in a top of the group clash. And just shy of the 5-minute mark, our first highlight in this game is shown for Leicester City. They knock the ball about on the edge of the box, and that is a wonderful strike there from Pedro Goncalves. And much like away at Real Sociedad, we do go down 1-0 early here. Unfortunately, some good short passing off the front. It's still a really good strike that from Goncalves. 1-0 Leicester after only 5 minutes. And we go all the way forward to the 31-minute mark for our next highlight. We do have a free kick here, albeit it is inside our own half. Zimmerman does just keep possession there for us, and we do still look to play out from the back and hopefully get something going in this game for really the first time so far. The opening 30 minutes has been complete domination from the Foxes. Zimmerman edge of the box in there for Rakasan, but a very important block there from a Leicester defender. That looked like it was going top right corner. We try and put a ball into the mixer there through Frederick Larson. It does go out for a corner. We'll see if anything comes from this one at the 32-minute mark, and it's just headed wide there by Ramadan. Still 1-0 Leicester, about 15 minutes shy of halftime. And shortly off the back of that decent chance there to Rakasan that was blocked by the Leicester defender, we are back on the attack here. Lasana Doumbia tries to chip the goalkeeper, goes just over the bar, and it's still 1-0 Leicester, but we're starting to get some chances here late in the first half. And it is half-time in this one. We can see that good early goal there through Goncalves, and off the back of that, we have had some decent chances late in the first half. The scoreline does remain 1-0 to Leicester, despite the fact our XG is quite a bit higher, so we need to start hitting the target with our chances, but 1-0 is not the end of the world with our goal differential advantage as we kick off the second half. And very early on in the second half, we do have a corner here. Basaro Gay gets his head on the end of that, just puts it wide. It remains 1-0 Leicester. And up to the 57-minute mark for our next highlight, a free kick here for Leicester City. And Beachy plays Jared Bowen free, chips the goalkeeper, and out of almost nothing off the back of their opening goal, all the highlights since then have been in our favour, but Jared Bowen makes it 2-0 Leicester, just shy of the hour mark, and we might be forced now into some changes, still with that goal differential advantage. We're in a strong spot to still be topping this group, but that's a little bit of a disappointing goal there, as it looked like we were building up towards a comeback in this one, but it's 2-0 Leicester, just shy of the hour mark. Both our left winger and striker Larson and Aguilera look like they are struggling out there, so Jonada will go on the left wing without Chaka Traore, Fabio Mariano up front, and we'll see if that improves anything in this last half hour. And not too long off the back of those substitutions, we are back down Leicester's end here for a throw, and they try and put a ball into the mix there for Mercado, but Ramadan heads that out to Fabio Mariano. Can we do something here on the counter-attack? Jonada switches that out to Levan Tam on the right-hand side. He holds the ball up. Nice ball over there for Mariano. Takes it around the goalkeeper, and Fab gets a goal off the bench. He's a small lad, but boy can he score. And we are back in this one with just under 20 minutes left, and at the very least that should make sure Leicester City are not going to get top spot. That keeps it to a nice tight margin. Good ball there from Levan Tam. Mariano, too much pace there, takes it around the goalkeeper. It's back on here 2-1 with just over 15 minutes left. And not too long off the back of that first goal for us in this game, we're going to make our last substitution. Lasana Dumbia only going okay today and is down to a red heart this time. Porstein Anason will come on for him with 14 minutes left. And shortly off the back of our last substitution, free kick here for Leicester City. And it looks like there might be a penalty here. I'm not too sure exactly what's happened there, but usually these do get given, and that would be a little bit frustrating. After grabbing a goal back, it was Duplisco pushing Luca, who is fairly new on the field here off the bench for Leicester City. If they score this, I think that will pretty much wrap things up. Husavik does go the right way, but Leicester City do re-establish their 2-goal advantage with 10 minutes left. As I said, we should still be holding on to top spot with this scoreline not being too big of a blowout, but a frustrating goal to concede there from a push off a free kick. Leicester City back in front by a 2-goal advantage with 10 minutes left. And we're up to the 84-minute mark now. It is a free kick to Leicester, and they try and get something going here. If they get a goal now, that could make things quite interesting in terms of the goal differential. Might make things a little bit more threatening in terms of that, and might put our spot on top of the group under a little bit more pressure. But thankfully, we do get the ball back here and look to get something going. Jonata plays that forward to the goal scorer and Mariano. Nice ball there from Porstein Anason out to Jonata. Puts that in for Boreal. Rakasan. They try and play some short passing there. It's broken up by Leicester City. Thankfully, though, Duprisco gets the ball back from that long clearance. Great short passing. Fabio Mariano will pick up a double if VAR makes sure that he was onside. But I think that looked pretty clear cut. The substitutes linking up very nicely for that one. We have yet another goal back. And yet again, we are right back in this one. How costly could that penalty we gave away only a few minutes ago be? That is clearly onside. Jonata in front of Mariano, if anything, with 5 minutes left. We're back in this 3-2 down. And we are inside the last minute of this one, and we are down their end for a free kick. Nicholas Zimmerman scored one in the last game. What can he do here? This time looks for the top right corner. Just goes high and wide, but I think that's more or less going to do it for this one. We put up a pretty valiant effort there after going 2-0 down, just shy of the hour mark. Some really good bench impact here from Jonata and Fabio Mariano. Unfortunately, that late penalty we gave away there might have actually been the deciding factor, but we out XG'd Leicester City despite the fact that they were given a penalty, but in the end we do fall to a 3-2 defeat away from home. But that is not the end of the world. Leicester City, of course, the reigning Europa League champions, so absolutely no shame in that defeat, but it should be a close enough defeat there that we do hold on to top spot in the group, and that could be oh so important in terms of the draw, which we do have coming up next for the first knockout round of the Champions League. It was a good performance, I think. Just unfortunately, that late penalty we did give away, as I said, did prove quite costly. That second goal to Leicester City as well did almost come out of nowhere, because all the highlights prior to that off the back of the opening goal were in our favour. But there is the confirmation, that big goal differential advantage that we did get from those wins against Ross County, as well as the home wins against Real Sociedad and Leicester City. That is the deciding factor. We quite comfortably top the group based on that goal differential, but Leicester City are joint on points with us, so that hopefully will give us an easier draw for that first knockout round of the Champions League. We'll come back shortly, see who we could get in that first knockout round before taking part in the draw and seeing what the coefficient looks like off the back of the group stage of the Champions League. And we're not quite up to the Champions League first knockout round draw just yet, but something has come up off the back of that proper last game of the season. The board, after expanding the Husavik Heroes a few times, realising it's probably going to take quite a while for us to get up to Champions League capacity for that ground, are deciding that they are going to build a new stadium. Also part of that is that we have got now quite a high demand for tickets for our league games, which is good as well. So it does look like the board are looking to build a new stadium, hopefully with us being the only legend at the club. They might name it after us as well, but thought that was an important update. The board do look like they are going to be building a new stadium for Volsungur to play at, albeit judging by that last paragraph there, it is not going to be a smooth process. Might take a little bit of time before even the plans can get put into place for that one. But an interesting update there. It looks like we've got a new stadium on the horizon here at Volsungur, although it might take a while for it to get built. We'll go forward now a little bit more until we do get to that Champions League first knockout round draw. And we have gone forward a few days off the back of those new stadium plans being brought up by the board, and we have got to the first knockout round draw for the Champions League. Before we do have a look at that, though, we will go back and see who finished where in the groups. Of course, we don't need to drop down to the Europa League this time, so this should be quite nice, short and sharp, having to only focus on the Champions League. The teams that we can play are the teams that qualified in second. So Juventus and Chelsea come out of Group A. Chelsea could be one of our opponents. Hopefully, though, we can avoid a team like that. Group B, PSG top it. AC Milan is one of our possible opponents. Down to Group C, Dortmund on top. Ajax qualify second. That probably looks like one of the more kinder draws that we could get. Down to Group D, Man City top that. Benfica just finish above Barcelona into second place. That looks like another kind draw we might be able to get, as does Group E, because Man United top it, but FK Partizan have finished in second spot above Inter Milan. That is a team that we have beaten before quite a few times, both in the group stages of the Champions League as well as in qualifying for the competition. So that's another team I wouldn't mind getting. Group F, we topped at Leicester City. We're in second. It is Real Sociedad making their way down to the Europa League. From our group, Group G, Real Madrid top it, but RB Leipzig are the team that qualify second. We've got a decent record against those guys over the past few seasons. Group H, though, that would be a team we'd like to avoid somehow. Arsenal have topped the group, which involved Bayern Munich. So Bayern Munich are one of our possible opponents, but I think there's a good mix there of teams that we'd like to avoid, as well as some teams that we could actually fancy our chances against quite a bit. So that's what happened there in the group stages of the Champions League. But we'll go forward now to the first knockout round draw and see who gets exactly who. First out of the hat are Chelsea. Ideally, we would avoid these guys and they get Borussia Dortmund. That is a good tie in the first knockout round there of the Champions League. Next up is AC Milan out of Italy, and they are going to be our opponent. So I think that's a fair to middling draw there. AC Milan, certainly a big club, but maybe not quite as big as the likes of Bayern Munich and Chelsea, who we could have got in that draw, but also certainly a bit bigger than the likes of Benfica and Ajax, it is fair to say. So I think that's a bit of a middling draw there, but we might be able to fancy our chances potentially there against the Italians. We'll make our way through the rest of this draw. Ajax will get Real Madrid. That's a pretty good draw there for Real Madrid, it is fair to say. Bayern Munich will take on Manchester United, the defending champions. That is a huge tie for the first knockout round. Next up, Leicester City. They will get Juventus, so that has certainly helped us out finishing top in that group. I think AC Milan, you would certainly say, are weaker opposition than Juventus. That leaves FK Partizan. They will get Manchester City, because of course they will. Next up is Benfica. They get PSG. See example above, and that will leave RB Leipzig to take on Arsenal. That could be quite an interesting tie. RB Leipzig won the Europa League 2 seasons ago. Arsenal got defeated by Leicester City in the final of that competition last season. So that is what the first knockout round of the Champions League does look like. We will be taking on AC Milan. Currently, they find themselves third in Serie A, another 4.5-star reputation club, as we've seen in the group stages of this competition. We can defeat teams on our day at that reputation now, and they do have some interesting names in that team, the likes of Wirtz, Kjaergaard, Kessie and Tonali still in the midfield, Ruggeri, Tamore, and they've got Magnan in goal as well. So quite a few recognisable names in that team, but it also means they might have quite an old team as well compared to the young team that we are building here at Volsungur. So that should be an interesting matchup for the first knockout round, which we will have coming up in tomorrow's episode, albeit from memory, those ties are quite spread out in terms of the first knockout round. Indeed, there's about a month in between those games, so we might have to spread those leagues over 2 episodes for that first knockout round anyway. And if we can get past that, then maybe we'll be able to condense the future knockout ties into just 1 episode with both games. So I think that's what we're going to come back with tomorrow, just the first leg of that first knockout round tie there away at AC Milan. We might also, of course, have some transfer business happening off the back of that game as well, which we can bring you guys up to date with as well. And also, before we do wrap up today's episode, a quick look at the coefficient off the back of that very good group stage for us, certainly our best group stage so far in a European competition. We make our way down just a little bit, so my head's not blocking Iceland, and we have already done better than the year that we are getting rid of. Of course, that was the year we did make the Conference League final. That year was a 6.625 just for our work in Champions League so far. All those wins in the group stage, we are on a 7.25, and that should mean we are on for a rise here. We would be going above Turkey very, very comfortably, so making our way back into that top 15 to get back that second qualifying spot for the Champions League. And we are also very, very close to Greece as well, so we could be on for a decent jump here, especially if we can pick up some wins in the knockouts of the Champions League, albeit that will be easier said than done, taking on AC Milan. But that will do it for today's episode. We rounded up the group stages of the Champions League, just clung on to top spot there through goal differential, and we'll get AC Milan in the first knockout round. If you did enjoy the episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, tomorrow we'll probably come back for just the first leg of that first knockout round with that month gap in between those legs of that first knockout round. So until then, we might also have some transfer activity. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.